Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Focal Plane podcast. So one of the things that I've learned in the photography journey is the biggest and the most dramatic moments, they're not always the most consequential. So a lot of the things that my clients value is that they know that I get those hidden moments or those hidden spaces or those quiet conversations where they think that people aren't really watching. Because actually those can sometimes be the most scary. They can sometimes be really worrying when you're thinking about your future. Are you doing the right thing? Are you navigating uncertainty properly? And like buying a house or securing your home can be a lot like that. Like on the surface, it's paperwork, it's numbers. But when you dig deep, a lot of it is having those conversations. It's about those hopes, that excitement, right? We're trying to make things move forward to what your dreams are like. But sometimes navigating that uncertainty can just be a bit overwhelming for people. And now my guest today is somebody that can really help make sense of that overwhelm. And I'd like to introduce Leonie Kilborn from RMR Finance.
Hello.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Oh, happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you. And one of the things that I'd really love to hear is exactly how your kind of approach to that human connection really helps people with this sort of a space.
Yeah, I think, I know for myself, when I first went into this industry, I had this kind of preconception that mortgage brokers were older men in suits, a bit like bank managers, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's not the case. And I think sometimes people do, especially younger people, maybe do have that fear. And I like to think that I get to know people on their level. And, it's not just about, as you say, the paperwork and the numbers. It's actually about them and their situation.
Yeah.
And it's not always, oh, hi, I'm this person and, here's your rate, happy days, see you later. Actually, there's usually a lot more life story that goes on with that. And so we sometimes joke it's kind of a bit of a free counselling service as well, because everyone has got stuff going on and we want to see them through that whole journey and help them through that whole journey.
Of course. And that's, it's really interesting you say it that way because there must be loads of trying to break down where people's, like you said, a counselling service, people's real kind of innate desires are, kind of comes down to trying to understand these numbers, trying to put them into context as to where they're going. But I guess one of the things I'm interested in is, not many people, and tell me if I'm wrong, right? Not many people are kind of growing up in their teenage years thinking my dream is to be a mortgage broker.
No.
Right? Like that's like, it's the list of things of like, I want to grow up to be an astronaut or, a world-class athlete and a mortgage broker. That sentence doesn't quite make sense.
No.
So tell me about that journey that's got you to where you are now.
So I did come out of school and not really know what I wanted to be. At the time, I was working part-time in retail, quite enjoyed it. Went and did a retail management course.
Nice.
Got working in retail manager, did that for sort of 10 years, loved it. And then, as we all do sometimes, just have that one day of, this isn't working for me anymore. But what was it? What was the thing that made you do that? I think I always want to grow.
Yeah. And
I felt like I just kind of hit a bit of a wall in that industry, in the growth that I could have. And I did have a whole thing about sort of training teams and stuff that I really enjoyed doing. I did work like being in part of a team, but I just didn't feel I could go any further with where I was at that time. So just complete, 180. Let's change this around.
So then you weren't happy with the thing that you were doing. There's some elements that you enjoyed, but clearly, maybe I'm wrong, but the team working element is perhaps less so if you're kind of going out on your own mortgage broking?
No, because it's still very much about the people.
Sure. Okay.
So from there, I went into estate agency. There was a local sort of job available.
Yeah.
I thought that's going to play on my sales skills that I've had from retail. Obviously still working part of a team, working towards targets and stuff. So I went and did that, and obviously it was a complete change.
So was it just the sales part of it that was a common thread, or was it something else that?
Yeah, I think sales and hitting targets and stuff. And again, I thought, I'm going to build myself up in this career. And Ray, who is my business partner, he was the mortgage broker in the office at the time.
Yeah.
That's how we met. And I was there for a couple of years. I went on maternity leave, went to go back, and it wasn't really going to work with my kind of work-life balance, having a small child. And I just got chatting to Ray, and he sort of said, well, you know, I've gone out on my own now. I'm a bit busy. Would you like to come and be my administrator? And I thought, yeah, that seems, you know, that's going to work, you know, see how it goes. And it worked really well. And then after a couple of years, I thought, do you know what? I think I could do this too, because I ended up talking to a lot of his customers, and I hope that they would feel that I was kind of helping alongside that bit, not just the actual mortgage side of it, but actually helping them navigate the whole process.
Of course, yeah.
And I thought, yeah, I'd like to be a part of that. So I went and got myself qualified, and now I'm doing it myself.
Excellent. I mean, what's been the biggest, if you had to pin down one thing that was the biggest learning in that entire journey? I know that's a huge thing, but what was the one thing that was really stuck with you in that?
That is a massive question, isn't it? I think it's just about the people.
Yeah.
It is about the people, whether that's your colleagues, whether that's your customers, whether that's other people. And I think I found that a lot actually in the estate agency side of it, in a whole chain of people who are involved in a house buying process, whether that's solicitors, mortgage advisors, agents, all the different people buying and selling. There is a level that you've got to interact with all those people. And actually I found that all of those people in that chain were quite often... There was emotion there, whether that was stress or hope or fear, you know.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. I think that I always have to have those conversations and help that whole process to develop. And I think that's kind of where it came from.
Yeah. And it's a great thing to say. I mean, if that's been the biggest learning, then great that it's great that you've come to that kind of conscious realization, because there are so many, I imagine, in so many industries, not just in yours, who are maybe still coming a bit unstuck there.
Yeah.
Because we still, like, in whatever we're doing, right, even in the photography space, it is absolutely 100% about an emotion. That's probably more on the nose when you're thinking about the creative world, but we all do everything based on our emotions. As much as we like to say, hey, you know, people who are objectively logical and use data to drive what they do more so than, say, others who go with their gut feelings, etc. Ultimately, the people who are doing that data driving are doing it from an emotional need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what that all comes down to innately is all those things that connect us as human beings.
Yeah.
So if we can harness that and understand it, you could make that journey for someone a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, and I think like one of my key things that I've learned in the sort of time that I've been doing it already is that I need to know the whole picture to make sure that I can meet that customer's needs. You know, it's all very well saying, I want to buy a house, that's my need. But that's not their need. It's they need to buy that house because. And whether that's because they're getting married, they're having a baby, they're getting divorced, their parent has died and left them in an inheritance, you know. That's where the emotion bit comes in. And without sort of knowing that bit, it's very hard to get the next bit right.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people are a bit like, oh, this is how much I earn, you know, blah, blah, blah. Numbers, which, yes, is important.
Of course,
but that's not the why.
No, and absolutely. And on that topic then, so you talked about how... you know, people look at various parts of their own circumstances and they may be driving like marriage or, you know, changing their relationship status otherwise, etc. What do you come across a lot that you kind of wish they knew before? And I guess what I'm trying to say less clumsily is, what would you advise people to do early to make sure that they're in the best position to move forward, whether they know what's going on, like if it's an expected thing that's coming up, or to plan potentially for the unexpected?
Yeah, and I think you just said it. They need to do it early. And as you said, there are unexpected things that happen, like you suddenly get made redundant or something and you weren't expecting it. And that's going to be a very different conversation. And it's sudden and you just got to deal with it in that moment. But a lot of those other things, you think there would be a little bit of a lead up to it. And it's best to have that discussion early, even if it's a maybe.
Okay.
And even just like a first time buyer, oh, I want to buy a house soon. You know, how long soon? I don't know, year and a half. Fine. Let's talk about that now. Because then I can say, well, this is what you've got now. and what do you want? You know, that again, that emotion piece and that need. What do you want? Well, I want a house like this. Okay, well, you're not there yet. But if you do this, this, and this, then you can be there.
Okay.
Or, you know, actually, I want to buy that house. Great. You're not there. And, you've lost out on it. You know, you want them to have that plan in place. And it's even things like remortgaging. You know, people know that their deal comes up every 5 years.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people will leave it to the last minute. And then it's a bit of a rush to get in the right thing. And it's fine if their needs are quite simple, but actually 9 times out of 10 they're not. And the longer you have to plan for that and have that thought process, the better you can make the outcome for that person.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine anyone who'd leave it to the last minute.
No one at all.
No. How deeply irresponsible that would be of someone to do.
Yes, like a week beforehand.
Thanks for sorting me out. So yes. So okay. So on that, then, what could you say generically to whether this be sage advice for literally anybody, or let's take the typical person who's growing up into adulthood, trying to make their way in whatever it is they're doing. What early things can we be doing, even if we're not right now thinking about a mortgage or buying a house? What could we be doing to set ourselves up well for that?
Yeah, I mean, it's not exciting, is it? Like the actual paperwork, black and white bit, the preparation bit is not exciting, but the end goal is exciting. So if you do the boring bits first, then you get the exciting bit at the end. So being aware of your credit file sounds really boring. But, you know, when you're young, lots of people get credit cards. Did it myself, you know, put too much on them, you know, spend ages having to pay them off. And you go, pay the minimum, all of that sort of stuff. People miss payments on them, you know, especially when they're younger. Things like Klarna, you know, you've got these 3 payments, but you've kind of forgotten about it. You didn't set up the direct debit. All of those things sit on your credit file can be 6 years, you know, so you've missed a payment on something 2-3 years ago, then you've forgotten all about that. That's not important to you, that 50 quid or whatever it is. But actually, you can apply for a mortgage 3 years later, and potentially, you know, a lender could go, there's a blip there, and I don't like that.
Okay.
You know, and there is, again, 9 times out of 10, there is a solution, but it might not be the pretty one.
Yeah.
And the better that you can make that sort of foundation, the easier it will be for you to get what you want.
Okay. And so, that, I mean, I can make sense a lot of that. So, you know, not sort of falling afoul of things that can affect credit rating, like some examples you've given. But what about things that are less, so things that we can do proactively? So you talk about stuff that you could avoid, but what could you actually gravitate towards? Like, even what habits should we be having? What that we don't necessarily naturally innately, you know, no one learns in school how to be good at your credit rating. No. But like, what is it that we could just build into our habits that could really set us up well?
Don't overextend yourself, which everyone does. You know, if you're going to get a credit card or something like that, you know, pay it off. You know, if you're going to...
so set up good systems for that, basically, right?
Yeah. It's really... Yeah. It is basic, but again, you say no one's kind of taught it, you know, have an emergency fund.
Sure.
Again, boring, but your car goes wrong. You then have to whack that £5,000 on a credit card.
Yeah.
Then you've got £5,000 on a credit card when you come to do your mortgage because you didn't have that little savings buffer. And I'm not saying I'm perfect on any of these things. I most certainly am not. And I've learned that probably over the last sort of 5 years myself, you know. Yeah. But the earlier you can get into those good practices, I think a lot of people, especially like first-time buyers, think, right, I've got a good deposit or I'm going to be gifted a good deposit and, you know, I earn good money. Lovely. Happy days. And it's not just about that. And, having those good practices in place, you know, actually doing a budget review every now and again, you know, if you've got balance transfer credit cards, when does that end? And then make sure you switch it again or pay it off, because then actually you're paying £50 a month interest, which you'd kind of forgotten about, you know, things like that. Like I've done it myself. That's why I can sort of talk about that.
Yeah. No, and that's, great. I mean, thank you for that insight, because I, as you were talking, I'm just thinking back to my younger self.
And it's not just younger people, but it does start early generally.
Well, exactly. And there's so many things like this, which had I just had the nous to go, do you know what? Yeah, I will make sure that these affairs are just in order. Like just every now and again, look and make sure that these things are as they should be, the right, right assets in the right places, etc. That could have made things a bit easier.
Things as well about your address.
Yeah.
So no one really thinks about. Obviously, when you move house, you need to change your driving license, something which, again, not everyone does. But things like billing accounts or bank accounts, even like your utility suppliers, we're getting a lot of people who are caught out because they've moved house and that they've cancelled the direct debit because they've moved house and they didn't realise there was a final bill that went to their last address. Mm-hmm. That's then been a default on their credit score because they didn't pay that £50 or something. And you think a lot of people can pull together £50 if they need to, and that's then affected their chances moving forward, just silly little things like that. It is admin and it is boring, but it makes a massive difference going forward.
Yeah, and I guess stuff like that is both more and less likely to keep happening by the fact that we're so online these days. I mean, so the fact that we're so online these days, a lot of us will just assume that, oh, well, my bills come through that way. Most of them do, but there'll always be one or two you don't think about that don't.
Yeah.
And it just makes people more likely to fall into those traps if you're not conscious about it.
Yeah, and I've had a couple of people in the last couple of months where they've had a final bill from a utility that's gone to an old address that they didn't realise. Yeah. Someone who's just changed their broadband supplier, didn't send the box back, or they did and it got lost in the post.
Something.
Sure. And that got missed. And it was like, then the company put a £40 charge on the account, which they never paid.
Yeah.
And then that affected them going forward. And it's nominal amounts of money. I'm not saying you need to be in thousands of pounds worth of debt for it to be a problem. It can be something really small, and just having those processes and being a bit sort of diligent about it, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. No, indeed. I think that is it. It's about the diligence of it, because we don't, well, I say we, there are a subset of people, myself included, who are not so financially minded all the time. But this is not really about being financially minded. It's think of it and reframe it as being minded about your own future and security.
Yeah. And it might just seem, oh, don't worry about it, and that don't worry about it can come back to bite you later on down the line. Yeah. And then you don't get that want, that need that you got later on for something silly that happened a long time ago.
No, indeed. So what can you tell me about any time or any examples where you've come across, let's say, a really tricky situation that perhaps let's say it's a client that's been around the houses a bit. They've tried really hard to get a mortgage sorted out. They're absolutely, like, whatever that circumstance may be, they're clinging on to the fact they really need to make this move forward. Have you come across any people like that? And what kind of things have we learned from that?
Yes, and also the opposite, where people almost don't come to you for help because they just don't think that they can do anything. I think we've had some where they've been told by a broker or, you can only go with this lender, that's it. And somehow we've managed to make in contact with them. Maybe they've been referred by a friend or something like that. Yeah. And the conversation's been very much like, you can't help me, but fine. Okay. And we said, well, let's just look at it. Let's break it down. And we found an alternative that was slightly cheaper. That saved them a couple £100 a month. Brilliant. They're happy. You've also got the other end of the scale. Again, the first-time buyers have someone who goes, yep, I earn this much money. Lovely. Got you an agreement in principle. Happy days. They go to offer on a property, but they haven't shared all that information or didn't even know some of the information. Sure. And then actually we've then had to do a whole turnaround and go, right, we need to look at a lot of different options for you. You think it would have been nice, easy, let's go. Of course, and actually it can take months sometimes to sort people out. And that's why that doing things early is important.
Yeah. And what about, can you give me any, obviously, I mean, everything we're saying is totally anonymous, obviously, but can you give me any stories where, you've maybe even looked at the case yourself and thought, whoa, this is going to be a lot to navigate. Yeah. But yet you've managed it. Can you tell us some examples of that? Yeah.
I've had a customer recently who's gone through a separation. Yeah. They had a new job. So straight away, we always say almost a bit like a shopping list with when you're doing a mortgage, what are the good things to have? Been in employment for a while, no debts, no background things, just good income, all of that sort of thing. And she...
So basically, don't live life, just exist.
Exist. And she hadn't, obviously, so that's fine. And she had a new job that she'd been in for less than a month when I spoke to her, which wasn't going to pay enough money for her to borrow enough for the mortgage. But she also had some benefits income, maintenance income, those sort of things. She had a background buy-to-let property. So it was about finding someone who would take all those layers. She had children. A lot of people don't realise that can affect your affordability with a lender, whether there are large childcare costs or not necessarily, they will still kind of score you on that. So it's about having a lender that would consider her on her own, on a smaller income, with various different income streams, with children, with another property in the background, with... I'm sure there was another caveat. There was quite a lot on this one. And it's about, okay, this is my person. Who would I put them with? Great. Right, that's not going to work. Why? This, and this. And then it's layering all those needs and bits of that person and their circumstance to get the outcome that you want. And sometimes it's not 100% what they wanted, but sometimes if it's 95% there rather than not there at all, then that can be a big difference to them.
I mean, that sounds like, to that person, like a hell of a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking like trivial stuff.
No. It was the difference between that person staying in their property or having to move their children. So it can be kind of life-changing for some of these people. It's had other people who... I had another client who had purchased a property with a family member who's younger. So they took on a bigger mortgage than they should have done.
Okay.
Their family member, they said, actually, no, I'm going to go and live with my girlfriend or whatever. And they were kind of relying on that income to pay for that property. And they were an older couple themselves and they felt a bit panicked, really. Like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, sure.
And it's like, okay, so what are your options? Is it you move and downsize? Is it you change the format of your mortgage to make it more affordable for you? Do we change lenders to someone who's going to let you borrow a lot older in life? There's lots of different things. And I hate to say it, but I say it every day. The answer is always, it depends on the lender. You can ask me any question and I'll say it depends on the lender, because they're not all the same at all. And
so what's your favourite colour, Leonie? Oh, it depends on the lender. Yeah.
Well, yes. A lot of them are blue in their branding, or red. Other mortgages are available, but yeah, I hate to say that phrase because it is really like, it almost sounds like I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's a traditional like cop-out answer, but actually, hey, the facts are facts, right? Yeah.
Everyone's heard of Nationwide, HSBC, sure. Santander.
Yeah.
Other lenders are available. But there are actually, we've got access to whole of market, and we can access sort of 90 different lenders that you've never even heard of, and sometimes that is that person's only choice. So being able to access that whole market and having the knowledge of what some of them will do and what some of them won't do can make a real difference to someone's situation, especially if you can pull on that information fairly quickly.
Yes. And I guess, okay, that's my next question really. So those two examples you gave, I guess we've already mentioned like huge impact for these people where, I mean, it is more than just consequential. It is either this is going to happen or I'm in a world of trouble. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned at the beginning, it's surprising how much of your job turns into counselling sessions. So, in these scenarios, and how do you get to the crux of, all that information, all of that you've stated? This may limit where people can go. It may open some doors. It may close some others. That process with people who are maybe in quite a precarious point. I don't want to use the word desperate, but maybe some feel that way. Mm-hmm, sometimes. how do you navigate that to really make sure that you're giving them the best chance to give you the best information? Because that must be when we're in that zone, like I just think about times in my life where I've been just under immense pressure. You cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel. You cannot see the wood for the trees. You can't do any of that. And I imagine people are coming to you in those scenarios too, perhaps those two that you mentioned. So how do you navigate that?
It's about, I think, being open and available to have that conversation. I don't want it to be just a fact find of what's your name, what's your date of birth, how much do you earn, lovely, this is all, I'm ticking the boxes. Because people aren't in boxes. And there's just even a couple of like easy questions to kind of, it sounds silly, like from my first conversation that I had with a customer to now, can even be a bit of a throwaway. You haven't got any CCJs, defaults, anything like that, missed credit payments. Oh, actually, yeah, I have.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a completely different conversation. Whereas I don't know if, like, the first conversation I asked, I would have even asked it. Because
of course. Yeah.
You almost think that someone would tell you, or you don't want to feel awkward having that conversation. But there's no point feeling awkward, because then we can't get to where you need to be. Like, it's silly, like, I want to say about it, but I don't care how much you earn. Obviously I do, because I need to know the numbers, but I don't judge people on how much they earn and where that comes from, because all that is a number to me. It's just, where are we going to go with that number? And it's really important. People say, oh yeah, I earn 40 grand a year. Oh, but actually I earn 35 plus a $2,000 car allowance. So hold on, that's not 40 grand a year. But it's just what people say. And I think people are quite scared to talk about money.
Yes.
Nervous, shy, embarrassed. Some people want to brag about it, but I don't care about that bit. It's just, I need to know the facts, so then I can help you kind of move forward with that. And I think I am quite a personable person, and I like to think that I'm quite open for people to talk to, and I am available to help. I mean, I will do phone calls at silly times of night if it's the only time that person can do.
Yeah, of course.
You might have someone who's going through a separation or something and wants to have a private conversation, but their other half's not around until 9 o'clock at night. Okay, if that's all we've got to work with, then obviously. I'm not saying I'm going to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
You sort of are saying that, but sure.
Yeah. if it has to happen. But, fitting things around the school. I have a lot of conversations with people on the phone where they've got their kids running around the back. Oh, God, I'm sorry. No, that's fine. I have a child too. It's about, working with those people in their lives, in their circumstances as it is. And I think it's a funny one, because the industry used to be, before pre-COVID, that you'd always see someone face to face.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And in some ways that's a shame that it's not there anymore, because you can obviously misconstrue things on the phone, through emails and messages and stuff. But we do obviously do video calls with people, and people go, oh, I don't want to put my camera on and all that sort of stuff.
I hate cameras on me.
Yeah, me too. But, you can pick up on people's body language and their facial expressions and things. So you can miss that on the phone. Yes. But in another sense, people aren't feeling like they're being forced to come and sit in front of you and, that age-old kind of bank manager meeting. Okay, here's my documents. This is how much I earn. Sometimes people can feel that they can be a little bit more honest on the phone without, being next to you face to face. So it's about making people comfortable. If people want to sit in front of me and, sit in a coffee shop or come into the office or something, then fine. If they want to do it just on the telephone, that's fine too. It's about making people comfortable to have those conversations.
But in that, absolutely. So I can follow that. But what is it then that you do? So how do you, Leonie Kilborn of RMR Finance, make people feel comfortable?
I don't think I put on a particular show. I'm not.
Okay.
Obviously, we have to be professional. I am a qualified professional in my job, but I'm not here to talk to you like I'm the professional and you're the client. I don't want it to be a client. I want it to be that I know everyone's name, that I know about their families, I'm going to ask them how their dog is and their kids are, and I want it to be a lot more personable than it's not transactional.
Yeah.
There is a transaction that happens,
Yeah.
but I don't want it to just be transactional, because that's just not what I'm like as a person. And I think I will go the extra mile for people that sometimes, you know, as you said, those people who've come to you and gone, there's nowhere to go. And we have helped them, because sometimes people don't want the hassle or they don't have the knowledge. I will, you know, maybe spend a little bit too long on some people, because I really want to get to that solution for them.
Yeah.
And it really bugs me if I can't. Like, it really gets to me if I can't.
Yeah. And so, I like that. And one other thing I'll add to this is something that you may be conscious of based on what you've just said, or maybe you won't be. So a few months back, you know, I was looking at my own mortgage, right? So it was coming up for renewal, and I was really scared. Like, really scared, because I was on a certain rate and I'm just absorbing the world as you do. You get a sense of the fact that that's going to change. Mm-hmm. And I was really worried that I just wouldn't be able to afford it. And I went online, I go on various like comparison sites, whatever, and it's not telling me stuff that's really helping my fears whatsoever.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, we know each other through some business networking and things as well. And you sent me a message maybe a month or two before deadlines were coming up. And in that message, you just made me feel like someone who wasn't an idiot. What, you weren't an idiot, or I wasn't an idiot? Me. Yeah. No, of course so not. It was like, I can't. Do you know what? Maybe I'll find it or whatever. But it was very much a hey. Like, I'm pretty sure you mentioned that your mortgage is coming up. Be great to sort it out. Let's get on it. Let's just get on it. You know. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a like, what you're doing, like leaving it so late, or it wasn't a I'm going to need this, and this. That would have just overwhelmed me, right? Mm-hmm. It was just like, you're not making me feel like an idiot. And you're not the only person who does that. And obviously you said you were scared about it. And I think there are a lot of people currently coming off rates that were pretty favourable after COVID, and and the rates are getting better now, but they're still potentially double what people were on before. And that is scary. And I think sometimes people do want to kind of bury their head in the sand a little bit and go, I hope, 100%. 100%. I mean, that's exactly what I was doing. I'm not going to pull any punches there. This is absolutely ostrich, head in the freaking sand, being like, I don't want to face this. Yeah. And I don't even want to talk to anybody about it, because I'm going to feel like an idiot.
But it happens all the time. Yeah. And like, for next time, I will be in contact with you. So, it's not going to happen next time. Yeah. But that is that whole thing about doing things early is, then you don't have to hold on to that fear for so long. You don't have to be anxious, And even if 6 months beforehand, the answer isn't quite what you want it to be. Yeah. Well, then actually that gives us 6 months to try and work on that and make it better for you. Exactly, yes. And there's no point hiding in fear, because that's not going to make it any better. No. And I'd rather, be able to help you and navigate you through that. And yes, you did leave it later, but I also still managed to give you a couple of options. Yes. And that's the thing. There is usually a couple of options, and one may be prettier than the other, but there's always a conversation to have. Yeah. And do you know what? And all of them were better than what I thought they were going to be. Like, and it was like, oh, okay. I mean, it's still a sting, but as everyone is experiencing, right, is where we are. But it was, okay. Oh, great. And it was done and dusted within like 12 hours or something ridiculous. But that's such a key message that you give around, approaching these things early to give you the best options. Yeah. Whatever they may be. And you said, like you say, that coming back to early parts of your conversation, the more you can plan, the more things you can put in place, the more you can optimize. So maybe some things are not an option right now, but they could be if you work towards it. Yeah. But at least you've got something in place. Yes. And having someone like yourself to navigate or help people navigate that, I think that's where
again, in a world where we're more and more online, we're more likely to go on to ChatGPT, help me optimize this. What's the comparison website saying? What's this saying? Because, a lot of us have lost that human touch and that connection. But this is a clear example as to why we need to speak to people who, particularly in your position where you've got access to the whole market and the understandings of how to optimize things. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah. I mean, the comparison website's great. It gives you an overview, but it's not going to compare all of those lenders.
Yeah.
Also, we get people come to us and go, well, I've seen this on the comparison website. Why are you not offering me that? Well, you're not eligible for that. And you don't necessarily know that just from that screen that you look at. And it's about that background knowledge.
Yeah.
There's so many caveats, depending on the lender. It might not even be you. It might be the property you live in. It's people don't have that sort of overall sort of vision of it, because I just don't think people understand it, because you don't get that education in schools.
No.
I didn't understand it.
Yes.
There's still things that I come across and go, whoa, okay, that's a bit of a weird one. Let me pull on my network friends and work out what we can do with that. And obviously Ray's been doing it for a lot longer than I have. But then he'll be asking me about things because, I have tended to pick up maybe some of the more complex cases.
Yeah.
And, we bounce off each other and go, oh, okay, that's what we're going to do. And it's collaboration.
Yeah. And there's so many things, so many industries like this where we have to navigate through life not knowing anything about them, but it's a thing we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
So, however many times it happens in your life, whether you're buying a new place for the first time or it's the third or fourth time you've moved on, every single time it's the same kind of key principles that we need to follow, but there are so many nuances. Like you say, going on a comparison website, going, oh, okay, oh, that looks great, but actually only on the surface will it look like that. Mm. Because inherently these things won't dive down in the way they need to. So then, understanding not only with yourself, with the way that you're talking about the collaboration, not only within you and your own company, but actually understanding where people are coming from and tailoring the services to that. That's really, really, that's a huge sell for me. That's a massive sell for me, because it tells me so much about how we can fall into these traps of go online, try and fix it. We can't, we get stuck and we catastrophize because online is saying we can't.
Yes.
Or it's saying we can falsely, and it's,
saying it falsely. Also, a lot of people who have obviously purchased before have a mortgage, and I don't know, their situation's changed. They go, I'm just going to stay with my lender. At the end of my deal, I'll just stay with my lender. And that might be the best option for them. But surely you want to discuss it and find out, because, and again, it's that fear that people have, the knowledge. I don't want to be sold things sometimes, but I'm not allowed to sell you something that's not beneficial for you. That's kind of FCA regulations. I can't just sell you a mortgage because it makes me some money. That's not you being nice. That's the thing. Yes. That is the thing, And actually, that might not be your best option. What are your plans going forward? That's, again, that pre-planning bit. Okay, right here, we're now, but what are you planning to do in 5 years' time? Have you thought about that when you've just clicked the button and say, I'll just stick with what I'm doing? You're moving house, you've got a mortgage, doesn't run out for another 3 years. Well, I'll just port it over to the new property. Well, what rate are you on? Oh, I don't know, 5.5%. Well, rates are a lot lower now. Yeah. So actually paying your early redemption fee, although you go, oh my goodness, I've got to pay a few £1,000s. But if I'm then going to put you on a rate that's lower, you've already kind of made that money back. And then for the next 5 years, you're happy, rather than for the next 3, you're paying more. Doesn't always happen. But surely it's worth a conversation. That's it. You'll never figure that out. I mean, well, the likelihood of you figuring out is a lot less by not having that conversation. Mm-hmm. Mad. Just talk. Mad. And so what have been, have there been some other really good success stories like that? I mean, that sounds like a significant one, but even I suspect there are some even better, bigger ones to mention. A lady who had a partner who hadn't paid the mortgage and she hadn't realised. Obviously, this was a while back. She'd managed to sort herself out a mortgage, but it was on a horrific rate. And her broker that she had used previously had left it till about a month beforehand to say, oh, your rate's coming on, so I'll just put you on the next one with that customer. He's thinking, you like work, maybe, I don't know. And she was recommended by a friend, actually, who had used us before. And she said, I don't think I'm going to be able to do anything, but what can I do? And I managed to get her the rate, which was, I think, nearly 1.5% less than what she was going to be paying. And she got some additional borrowing, which she wanted to do up the house because she wanted a nice house for her kids to live in. And we found a lender that was at a good rate. I got it through within the month that she needed, and, you know, it all completed on time, and she went away happy. And, yeah, just kind of changing that perception that people have of, goodness, it's all terrible. And actually, there is a little bit of light somewhere, hopefully.
I imagine she was quite pleased with that outcome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
she was just, obviously, when you are coming to the end of your mortgage term, you would go onto the standard variable rate of the lender, and that's always pretty ugly.
Yeah.
And her fear was that I've spoken to you 30 days beforehand and this isn't going to happen. And I'm not saying that I can always do that. You know, it's not always possible.
Of
but
course.
I'm going to try my best to get that in. And she didn't have to go onto a rate of like 8% because we got it through in time. And that would have been ugly and uncomfortable for her. So
absolutely, 100%. So what's the best bit of feedback you've ever received then that's really stuck with you?
Oh, I don't know. It's so hard. Like, the customers I've had have been really, really lovely. And they've all appreciated what I've done, you know. People saying that I've stopped them having a heart attack.
That's pretty good.
That's
put that on your tagline.
Yeah. People who've cried down the phone because they're happy, they're relieved, you know. It doesn't always need to be the grand show. Sometimes it's just that, thank you so much. You've made a difference, and that's why I do it.
Yeah, massive. But so, and I mean, it sounds like you made a hell of a difference for a lot of people. Hell of a difference.
I like to think so.
Yeah. So what? But coming back to that, you know, we touched on it right at the beginning about, you know, how you kind of your journey went through how it did into, you know, from sales, estate agents, mortgages. It sounds like there's more of a common theme than just the kind of the selling and the people. It sounds like there's that real innate need to make a difference for people.
I think I'm quite passionate about anything that I do.
Yeah.
And I'll always do my whole best to do that to the best it can be. That's terribly worded. But, you know, I'll always do everything I can to do the best and get the best result, whether that's, you know, selling some body cream, which is, you know, where I started out, or whether it's, you know, changing someone's finances for the better. You know, it's maybe I'm a bit self-competitive, you know, as well.
So what drives you to do that? Why are you self-competitive?
I don't know, just always want to be better for myself, but for whoever I'm dealing with at the time, whether that's, you know, my sales team or my one-to-one customer that I have, you know. Yeah. Just make everything better. Such a rare sunshine.
No, but that's great though. I mean, what a brilliant philosophy to do your work with, and particularly, as I say, in things that are so consequential, because like we kind of intimated, a lot of the times when you overhear conversations about mortgages in the pub or whatever,
boring.
Exactly right. You're just like, oh come on, let's talk about politics. Yeah, no, let's not. But
please don't.
Yeah, politics and religion is for the pub only, right? But it's a boring thing. You don't really want to necessarily fill your time thinking about it, talking about it. But when you need it, and it's knowing that there are brokers like yourself that will go the extra mile to make sure that people are getting the best of the best, whatever the situation may be. That is the message that I would like to spread out here today.
Thank you.
Because I have previously had my own experiences with brokers who've just told me, sorry, can't help you buy. It's like, oh, it's too complicated. Like, what's too complicated?
But then surely you even pass it on to a colleague who's better. Like, I can't be that person to say no.
Yes, that did not happen in a couple of instances. And you're like, what? And that gives me the impression that is what it is.
You are unhelpable.
Yeah.
And that's not.
And not just that, but but the industry is full of people unwilling to help.
Potentially.
Right. So I'm just being totally honest with you. That is what my perception was of, I had when I was trying to, get on the ladder myself, I didn't actually have anything wrong. It was that I hadn't done anything enough.
Yeah, so you didn't have a credit profile particularly,
Yeah. So I just started in in a new partnership. I had this much evidence of that, which wasn't a lot because I just started. Various other things, and it was but and the way that I was paid for certain things was just different, like than the standard way. But anyway, and I would come across like, oh, that's just too complicated, can't help you. Or oh no, we've tried and they don't believe that you've got enough income from this, or that you've not been here for long enough. So see you later. And that was it. And my impression therefore was, oh, I guess you're all like that then. Okay. I guess that's what it is.
And I would look at it and go, oh God, that's complicated.
Yeah.
Let me get a cup of tea, right? And then we're, and then literally sit there and, I've said that shopping list and what can we do? Even if it's not the best solution, I'm going to get you a solution and then it's your choice. And that is what it is, isn't it? It's a choice at the end of the day.
But you need to have the choice to start with. This is the thing. And truly that was my experience previously. But the only reason I got a mortgage was my bank just went, yeah, sure, we'll give you one, fine, happy days, tick. And it was fine. Like it took that 5 seconds. But anyway, I digress
but a lot of people still think that. Oh, I'm just going to go straight to my bank.
Yes.
And great, they might, as you say, just tick it and it's done.
Yes.
But is that their best choice?
Sure. Exactly. And so then, what would you say is what's been the hardest part of your job?
Giving bad news. I have found a solution for pretty much everyone I've dealt with, but it's still horrible to give the not so good news. And I don't know, I'm also drawing on some of Ray's experiences as well. And, we don't just do mortgages, we do protection. So like life insurance and things. And, we have had a couple of people call up and been like, oh, can you just clarify my life insurance? Because we need to use it. That's horrible because they aren't just a transaction to us. They are people that we've dealt with for years and have a relationship with, so that's always pretty tough. And a bit morbid, so make it a bit more jolly. But even just losing a client, because someone else has found that solution. And I have had one where that's happened and I was like, right, I went back to them and said, right, who did you go with? Because not the broker, the lender.
Yeah, the lender, sure.
Because why didn't I pick that? I'm going to use that as a learning curve. Is it because I didn't have access to it? Then can I get access through the network? Is it because I didn't see it? Is it because my knowledge wasn't good enough? Like, I'm not going to back down and have that happen again because I want to be able to help those people.
And that seems to be something that really separates you out then, because this is the exact opposite of what I would have experienced before. Like the profile of the people that I went with before would have been the type who would have been entirely complacent and like, oh, I'm doing enough business for myself, so I actually don't need to work harder for you. Now thinking about it out loud, that's probably exactly what it was. Yeah.
They don't want the hassle because you weren't going to earn them a lot of money and they'd rather, have a nice, easy case that was going to make them a bit more money. Maybe that is the case.
Well, I think everybody and their mother would know which they would prefer, right?
Yeah.
Madness to think that is a thing, but it's, we talk about how everything we do is based on emotion, and my God, that brings back some emotion for me, thinking about that. And it's like, it's just really refreshing to hear your approach. I love the people who are just, I'm always learning. For me, nothing is ever good enough until it is the best of the best.
Yeah. And then then we make it better again.
Awesome. Awesome. So where's the future? What is the future for Leonie Kilborn, RMR Finance? Where are you going?
Well, the world is my oyster. No, I'm not doing global mortgages. That is too complicated for me at this stage. I think, obviously, I've been with Ray for a while as his administrator, and now I've qualified myself. So he's got his group of customers, his clients that he deals with, and I have helped deal with. Now, for me, it's about building up my own reputation, and hopefully things like this will help, that people will want to come to me specifically and go, I've heard her name and I want her to help me. And then those people then refer to their friends. And, I want to be that trusted individual.
Yeah.
So it's all about me, really, sort of just building up that base, I suppose.
Fantastic. Well, that's the clip I'm going to use. It's all about me. Full stop at the end. Great. We're done here. I mean, of course, it's all about you. I mean, you're the guest here, right? But yes, yeah. No, okay, great. So, and what are you most looking forward to about that? What's
just helping more people. Helping more people, and those people then say, like, I've had a message this week from someone I've helped, and they've messaged me and said, I want to pass your details on to my friend. Is that okay? Yes, absolutely. But it's so lovely that they want to do that, because it's boring, and also it's not a conversation that people generally have. So for them to put it out there.
But also, just to take a step back on that, how great is it that they sort of felt you had this air of exclusivity about you?
So I only deal with you. Yes. I'm just so busy and important now.
No. I select my clients. Yeah. That's how it works.
Yeah.
No.
But I think it's lovely that you almost asked permission.
But hey, that's great. And what a massive that in itself is the testimonial, isn't it?
Yeah.
To know that person went through whatever they went through in their mind and minds, or whatever emotions flying all over the place, it got sorted, and that's like a trust that you ain't gonna break very easily, right? So, and to then have that passed on to I trust your emotions with this person. Mm-hmm. I trust your hopes, dreams, sacrifices, fears, otherwise with this person to make it right. That is really what they're saying.
Yeah. And I think it's nice to think that those people will come back to me, and I can see that whole journey. Some of those first time buyers I'll be speaking to again in 2 years' time, and maybe they'll be starting a family, and then they'll be looking to move to get a bigger house. And then we'll be looking to, I don't know, then a few years' time after that, they'll be looking to release equity to gift to their children so they can buy their own houses. It's a really nice idea that I can be part of that whole journey.
Yeah, there's something to that, isn't it? Because you feel integrally. It sounds like to me, from what you're saying, if you feel integrally part of lots of different people's lives and families and dynamics and the journey that they're all kind of navigating in their own way. Mm-hmm. But there you are as a bit of a linchpin in some of the most key moments. Let's face it, they are like some of the most key moments that people will experience. And that journey and that story that you tell, like it really resonates. Like I feel so many things that I can relate to, and I love that you think about it that way.
Yeah,
fantastic.
It's just it's just the way it is. It's not just business. It's not just business, it is people. Yeah.
Awesome. So what is then the one single piece? We've talked about some advice already for people, but what is the one thing that you wish people knew about mortgages, about what, before they contacted you? What is that one thing that one thing you keep coming across that you wish people would just know?
It's still that coming in early piece. I've said that, and I feel I sound like a bit of a broken record, but the longer I have to help you, the better the solution we can get, and a lot of people leave it late. I've offered on a property. Cool, can I get a mortgage? No. And you've offered on a property. Right, gosh, now we're going to have to try and find you a solution that's ugly. Or my rate's just about to expire. I've got a week until I'm going on to 8%. Right, okay. Then I'm not going to have as good a solution for you. The early thing is really, really important, and just don't be afraid to ask. There's no stupid questions. There are no stupid questions. You're not an idiot, like you were saying, you're not an idiot. People don't understand it. I will answer your stupid questions. You know, that's fine because they're not stupid. And if that means you can move forward, then great.
Excellent. That's a great message to leave it on. So, Leonie, thanks so much for coming on today. It's been fascinating to hear why you do what you do. That's really, that's the whole point of this podcast, right? I always want to understand what drives people to do things that are just a bit above and beyond.
Hopefully people aren't going to look at it on the drop down and go, oh, mortgage is boring, and not even watch it.
Maybe I'll call it something else. Maybe I'll, what could be a good clickbaity title I can use? I'll think about that. I'll have something clever for it.
Yeah.
But no, man, this is awesome. So thank you so much for that. It's been inspiring to hear.
Thank you.
And I only sense bigger and better things coming your way in that respect. So, and look, I obviously have zero qualms about recommending you to anybody. So
I'll be in touch in 18 months' time.
We were touching. Oh God, is that how long I did it for? Oh. Damn it! I made the wrong choice. Okay, anyway.
I did not give advice.
Fantastic, excellent. Thanks so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.